Hey, Fua, how are you?
For joining us. Abundance and Ifwa. Um, Abundance is a University of Ghana student who is very passionate about women issues, and she proudly says that she is a feminist, she's a poet, and she's a writer. Ifwa is a lawyer in training. She is an advocate for child protection. And if you are joining this live, you may already know that these are two very opinionated, bold young women in the content space. They make content that no one else would make, as you may. They are fierce, and then in as much as they put out their opinions, they're also very, should I say, appropriate and respectful about it. Like, they communicate their points without mixing it with emotions. They put their points across clearly. So I don't know if I have done good introduction to your passions and interests. If you think I haven't, please just take over and maybe I'll give you like 1 minute or something. You are welcome before that, and then we'll get into it. If we're Abanas, who would like to go first? Have I done justice to your intro?
I think you have. I think it's sufficient enough. Really great. Thank you.
Okay. If we're please, are you okay with your introduction, or would you like me
Please, I'm
to?
more than okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. Through the whole process, so that you have an idea of what it's going to look like. We will be going to court with you should you decide to go down the route of reporting. And for those who are not
Wait,
willing to go
hello.
down the hi,
I,
please can you hear me?
I think I don't know if it was just me, but you were disconnected for quite some time, and then
Yes,
like
I couldn't hear you,
we
so I
didn't
thought
hear
like you had
anything.
gone somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so let me then I'll just highlight. I don't know how that happened. I'm
So
sorry.
sorry.
I'm a very new TikTok user, so I'm trying my best.
No.
Um, so on this side, there's advocacy, awareness, legal support, free healing services. So on our website, on this site.org, you can book a free healing service. For the legal support, we can go with you into court. We can get you to speak to legal practitioners so they can give you insights or like the best way possible. We can assist you to report to the police, to your trusted elder, and the likes. We also do under the awareness, we do like school campaigns. We are also doing some training. So if anybody is on, they think that they want us to come and train people in their schools and their offices, we also do that. And we lead in advocacy for policy reform. So if you have been engaging with our page, you see that we issued a press statement on the Bole teacher misconduct. So these are things that we also are advocating for. And
If you can hear us, you are disconnected again.
oh, okay. Then I don't know how I'm going to access the questions, so because the questions are like outside of the app. But anyway, I'll do my best to ask them from my head. So, abundance. I just wanted to know what inspires you to speak about child protection issues. What inspires you to be, should I say, daring? What inspires you to talk about subjects as dicey and as tricky as pedophilia, rape, and defilement?
Okay, thank you for the question. First thing that inspired me is just that I've seen a lot of indoctrination into like these systems happen around me a lot, and I'm also a uni debater. That's like pretty much where I get all my woke ideas from. Being in the debate space will kind of give you a lot of audacity because and then there's also the fact that I genuinely don't care what people think, so I'm less likely to be triggered by somebody not agreeing with me. Before I came to university, I didn't know about feminism. This is disgraceful. If I from my high school, I'm really sorry, but before I came to uni, I knew nothing about feminism, about consent, about the broader scope of like pedophilia and grooming and all of those things. So when I got to like uni, I realized that a lot of people don't actually know about these prevalent problematic issues. And then I got a platform, like obviously when I said my platform, it wasn't like speaking up about these things, but not having a platform and having some influence over individuals, it just gave me this incentive to want to talk about these issues because a lot of people actually buy into these pedophilic frameworks and continue it without knowing. And that's just something that's really dear to my heart that I think that everybody should speak about, regardless of how much influence you have. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. But I also just want to say that there's nothing wrong with not being aware or understanding feminism, because also in our culture, um it's, should I say, it's something that a lot of people keep frowning upon, right? Or they are misinformed about it. So it's very fine if you don't understand or you wouldn't understand before you. Um, Going to Ifwa, I would also like to know what your inspiration is. Is it just because you've seen it happening to a lot of younger girls in your community, or you are just passionate? Maybe there's something hidden. Tell us. Maybe today will be the day you tell us about it.
Okay. So personal experience. First personal experience is that as a child, I went through a lot, an overwhelming amount of sexual harassment. And my parents are very protective of us. And so and at the time I didn't really understand why, and I didn't really have a full grasp on what, sexual harassment, sexual assault and these things were. But I realized growing up that my parents did the best that they could, but it's like my parents versus the system. These things are everywhere in our schools, in our churches. And I feel like if I was born into a family where parents were kind of lackadaisical or they didn't care enough, I would have suffered even more than I did. I grew up, I'm a big woman. I guess I grew up as a plump kid. And so I was like very often the center of attention, very often and unnecessary attention. And so growing up, I've always had a passion for children. At a point in time I wanted to be a pediatrician, but I don't make the cut for science and medical school and those things. So I guess this is in my own way to drive that agenda in protecting children. Also, I think the first time I posted this I'm not sure if you were on my page at the time. I archived that video now, but my sister came home and was telling me about how her teacher is harassing her, and my sister is 10 years old. And so that kind of triggered me and took me back to very dark places. And I was like, oh, hello. I
Yeah, I
don't.
can hear you. I can hear
Oh,
you.
okay, okay, okay. So my sister was telling me about how her teacher is harassing her, and I brought it to the internet, and everybody was like really enraged. It really took me to very dark places, and I was like, okay, now something has got to change. Somebody has got to talk about these things. There's got to be more education. We need to be outing people, naming and shaming, like making these people feel less comfortable in society. And as Abundance said before, these things are deeply systemic, which is why in a lot of my breakdowns or my analyses, like I go to how all of us are playing into it. So basically that was my inspiration. Personal experience, also being in law school, my sister, my family, my community. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, for you, you have touched on the fact that in as much as you had a certain level of experience with harassment, now your advocacy was awakened by the fact that you saw it happening to your sister. Is there something that also awakened your advocacy, Abundance?
So for me, I've always been a very big like advocate for more of the consent side of things because that would be my say personal experience. Um so one time I went to this guy's house and when I went to his house, no, I went to his room and I spent time with him. We watched a show and after we finished watching the show, he pulled down his pants. And then I said,
Hmm?
"Oh my God, yes, calm down, guys." And then I said, "Oh my God, what is going on?" And he's like, "So when I came to his room, did I not think that we're going to do something?" And so I expressed this worrying issue with a male friend of mine, where like he also told me that, well, I know that if I go to a guy's room and the boys say you're going to hang out. I'm doing air quotes by the way, you can't see me. The don't I know that it means you're going to sleep with me. I'm like, that's so weird. How is me coming to your room a full clause of consent
Yes.
as like as a person? Like why do you even process how do you process that? And something else about how somebody said if you started sleeping with somebody and you retracted your consent. So the whole thing about how consent is on a continuum and how if you are starting a sexual interaction with somebody and midway through you don't want to do it anymore, you still can't retract your consent. And a lot of people thought it was absurd because if you knew you were going to retract consent, why did you give it in the first place? And all of these things that like permeate like girl boy interactions, particularly on campus, just really, really pushed me to be like, oh my God, we have to educate people. People have to know that there are so many harmful things we have imbibed. And I think that's what pushed me to start talking about consent and a lot of its related issues personally.
Mm. Okay. I mean, I want you to hold your horses on consent because we are going to be going into that. So, um, I wouldn't let us finish the conversation now with it. So hold on, we'll get back into that. So when for example when you say you're a feminist or when you decide to talk about delicate matters like pedophilia, for me on Instagram, I'm always in Ifwest comments as like the second video creator, always firing back at people. But I mean, I want to know what does it really entail when you say that you are a protector of women's rights or you are a defender of children, so like a child rights advocate, or generally a women's rights advocate. What does it entail? Generally, are there any misconceptions? What's like? I let me hear from lawyer Ifwa.
As with anything in the world, there's going to be misconceptions about any worthwhile cause. When it comes to the protection of women, unfortunately, I find that, and I don't mean to be offensive, men tend to center themselves in arguments or ideologies that are meant for them, right? So, like when we talk about feminism, we're talking about, and obviously, I know that we have feminist theories and the waves of feminism. We have radical feminism, but just at its basic, without getting too political, we're talking about equality of sexes. And because, especially in Africa, we live in a continent where masculinity is deeply based on the feeling of like machoism and the oppression of women. When you talk about equality of the sexes, people tend to, what? You think you're equal to me? You think you're equal to me? It's very strange. I think somebody asked me one time, a dude asked me one time, we were talking, he said, "Why are you a feminist?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, yeah." And he said, "Okay, then take me on a date." And I was like, "Do you think is that what you think about feminism? That women don't have money to take themselves or take their partners on dates?" These are the kind of things. Also, there's a lot of dilution in the message. We have misandry, which is like a whole like theory on its own. We have feminism, and we have
Right.
exactly. So, and we can have a feminist who's a misandrist, but it doesn't dilute the feminist. And there's a lot of policing going on. Like sometimes I hear like conversations online. If you're a feminist, you can't be married to a man, but you can be feminist and not be queer. You can be feminist and want to be married and to have children. You like the point is that, right? We're living in a patriarchy. We're trying to dismantle systems that are archaic and work for nobody because the patriarchy hurts men as well, that we can have some form of equality, and I would actually say equity, as a matter of fact, because when we talk about equality, people are very okay. So now you want to carry cement blocks, you want to build the houses, and all the women have been and still are participating in very like tedious physical labor. That's not the point. Equality or equity would be okay, what are your strengths? Bring your strength and I bring my strength, and nobody is lesser than the other or more superior than the other just because of the state of their, excuse me to say, their genitals or what kind of gender they embody in our current society. So these are the kind of, there's a lot of dilution. Everybody's trying to get their word and everybody is like being very aggressive, and I know that all of these things are fueled by a lot of like centuries of pain and betrayal and gender wars, right? So I think that's where a lot of these misconceptions come from. It's much more nuanced, but there's only so much you can say at a go. So yeah.
If you can hear us, you're gone again.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. So abundance, I'll just go away from the question that I asked Ifua. So when we talk about pedophilia, what does it communicate?
You mean what I think about the general thing?
What is it? I mean, I would ask Ifua for a more like legal understanding on that, but I
Oh,
just want to know what when we say what is pedophilia, what do you interpret it as? Because I feel that if you don't have a grounded understanding of it, then you would not be able to speak about it, right? So what does
okay.
it what does it
So when I hear pedophilia, I think about it as a system of indoctrination, because I think the biggest mistake people make is mistaking it for like singular incidents across like a generation of people or whatever. If so, let me describe it. If you're an older person in any capacity and you are attracted to younger people, children, I think you're a pedophile. But I also think that it is not the people, but the system that backs the people, because we have like several variants of it. So, for example, people would not think that a relationship between a 39-year-old and a 29-year-old is problematic, but they will think that the relationship between a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old is problematic. Do you get me? So I think that people don't get the fact that we are critiquing a system of indoctrination and not singular incidents. So, for example, when we address the wealth of experience that exists between two people in a relationship, we see that, like, yes, two people can be consenting adults, but there is still a vast difference between one person from the other that makes that situation or that relationship a pedophilic relationship or more specifically, as if I would say, an ephebophilic relationship where it has to do with teenage girls, and that kind of blurs the lines a bit, because where exactly then do we say, okay, a relationship between a younger person and an older person is normal? So I would consider it a system instead of like a particular thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think your explanation has even touched on some of the things that if I'll say, but just because we want to make sure that we are giving people understanding, we are giving them knowledge that's also backed by law. If you're in the capacity to also expand on what this looks like and then what some of the
Definitely.
repercussions.
Um, so in I think my final year of law school, we did, children's law, child's law, basically. And you know that a lot of people don't know this, but child pornography is like a wrong terminology. The right terminology is CSAM, child sexual assault material. And you see, I'm making this analogy because there's a lot of things in society that are used interchangeably. Sometimes, obviously, because we're trying to drive a certain point. But pedophilia, right? It is a consistent attraction to prepubescent children. That is like practically, and that's its definition. You are, and not everybody who is a pedophile or not everybody who feels attracted to children or kids is a child sexual abuser. So, two things. You can be attracted to kids, that's an attraction. But when you act on it, whether you were attracted to them or not, now you have committed a crime. I hope you understand me. So we have like
Right.
these people. So pedophilia is actually termed, or let me just say, sometimes like kind of grouped as a mental illness or like a psychological issue that people go to therapy for and they get help for. So, for example, if you feel or you have noticed that you feel constantly aroused by little children, you avoid going to like children's parties, those kind of things. And there are people who feel not any particular attraction to children and still sexually abuse them. So the conversations we have and the reasons why we use pedophilia and child sexual abuse like interchangeably is because we're trying to say that, hey, if you are touching kids, you are one of them. You're a pedo, like you're a pedo, and if you are justifying it, you're also a pedo. In Ghana, right, in our law, children are governed by the Children's Act, right? And when you look there, everybody under 18 is a minor, but the age of consent for sex is 16, which is why I keep saying on my page that the age of consent is not for adults to have sex with children. If you look in the American legal system or jurisprudence, 18, the 16 years illegal age of consent is called like a Romeo and Juliet law. So that two children or two teenagers of similar ages can engage in sexual relations and not be taken to jail. You, the 19-year-old, 25 years, now is not the time for you to say, oh, she's 16 or she's 15, she can consent, so I'm having sex with her. A lot of these
Okay.
things are also like a spectrum, right? Because pedophilia is targeting prepubescent children, which is why I make a lot of emphasis, as Abandon stated, on ephebophilia. And although ephebophilia is not like as widely accepted or entrenched as pedophilia, I think it's important that we talk about it as well because the frame of childhood goes beyond puberty. The reason that a lot of people put emphasis on prepubescent, especially in Ghana or in African countries, is because once upon a time, puberty was a significant marker of adulthood. But today it's not. I posted something a few days ago talking about how technology has expanded the night. Like once upon a time, when it becomes dark, everybody stops working, everybody goes to sleep. But now when it becomes dark, I'm here on a live with you. After this, I'm going to work, right? So technology has expanded the night and expanded the possibilities in the evening. And society and also research has expanded what childhood is. So from a certain age to a certain age, you're a child. So pedophilia is for prepubescent, but you can like stretch it across, and it is specifically a mental condition or an attraction problem. And then all the people who abuse kids who may or may not be pedophiles are child sexual abusers. Yeah, that's from a technical and legal sphere.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So I'll just zoom quickly into our conversation. So when we say these things, some people will say, oh, you know what? When our grandmothers, our mothers were younger, it wasn't the case that right. It wasn't the case that people were taking advantage of young girls and young boys, right? But we also have heard older people now say in their 70s, in their 60s, in their 50s, in their 80s even, saying that they experience abuse. And these cases are examples that cut across different countries. So the France issue where her husband was actively dragging her and allowing other men to sleep with her and things like that. That is a clear example. The woman is well over 50 years or 60 years, but then she experienced this as a young person. In Ghana, we have some cases. So is this a new thing? Like when we say pedophilia in our communities, in our schools, is this a new thing? Or is this something that's always been there? It has always existed, but then we are only hearing about it because of social media.
To just take this opportunity to say that since we're branching out, well, you've mentioned Giselle Pellico, which is the France issue, the France case that happened to Giselle. When people think about consent, pedophilia, they think about children, but all of these things, and the reason why I'm making a specific emphasis on sexual abusers or child sexual abuse is abuse can happen to anybody, and it happens specifically to vulnerable people. Older women actually are very as or almost as vulnerable to sexual assault and sexual abuse as children are. So look, and a lot of the time people think that you can only get attacked when you go outside your house, but in your house you are actually more in danger than when you go out. In Tree, I think we say a saying that "Abobi beka wa na ehye wo ntumem" or something like that. The danger is living with you exactly in the house. These things are not new. These things are not new. Obviously, there's nothing new under the sun. But society changes and things improve. When you talk about our African traditions and settings, right? We have, for example, if for example back then they said if you get your period, you are a woman. So if you go to puberty at 9, you are a woman and you are ready for marriage. Even back then, when there was a setting for adulthood, children were still being preyed on because we talk about emunatua, which is rape in Tree at least. So people were actively doing these things, going to take advantage of people who hadn't gone through their puberty rights, taking advantage of children who hadn't yet gone through puberty, taking advantage of their own children. This thing of Udiobi si awawa, like using a child, particularly a girl child, to so if your family is owing, yeah, exactly. Like if your family is owing somebody, you say, okay, if we are not able to pay, we'll donate our child to you. It doesn't matter if the child has gone through puberty or not. They will probably wait or not wait. So these things, if you look at the society now, if society now says that 18 years old is a child, there are people who are abusing children who are less than 18. So if you can apply the same lens there, if then they said that puberty was at this stage, there were people who were actively going after people who went that age. And you see, there's kind of like a generational overlap. We are currently Gen Zs who live with Gen X's, and now we have Gen Alphas with us. We are learning from each other. So if I'm a millennial and I was married off at 15 to a man I couldn't consent to, and right now they're saying that, oh, if you do this, it's abuse, I'm going to feel abused because, like, at the end of the day, I didn't consent. Although it is relatively a newly popularized term or ideology, I still feel like it affects me. But if you want to put it plain by plain, or side by side, I mean, you pick the systems and the structures that existed compared to the structures that exist now and see the way people are bending the rules to actively go for vulnerable people. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. So, abundance, I'll be getting to you. So, maybe more into the main reason why we are here. We are saying that it exists. I even see people in the comments saying that it's not a new thing, it's something that has existed, it's been with us. Okay, so it's been with us. How can we assist? Do parents have to do something specifically? Do the kids or the younger girls have to do something specifically? I want to hear from you because amongst myself and Ifwa, you are the youngest one. So I want us to know if maybe there's something that we lacked growing up that you think maybe you have been exposed to by virtue of the fact that you are a lot younger, or there's something that you think we can do to help all of us, yourself and then younger generations, please.
If I'm being honest, I think our generation is worse. Worst. The top is what's the worst? It's worst, Abby. Yeah. Um I genuinely think that the socialization we have is worse than the socialization everybody else before us had, because if you compare, like if you contrast and compare both generations, in the past you were indoctrinated into a system, now you are being fed the indoctrination like it is the best thing you can do. So on our part, right, now it's not, oh, like your child is mature once she gets her period, you don't have a say, you don't have social media. It is being sold to us as the right thing to do as a woman. So I say this a lot. People don't believe me. Pedophilia is also backed by sugar daddy culture. Our generation has the most prevalence of sugar daddy culture that is normalized. We also have the whole viewing yourself as a divine woman or as a divine entity as a woman that is being sold to us. So very honestly, I think the proliferation of information just is so worse on our end. Like, it's bad because in the past, yes, if you're a woman or a parent who thought contrary to what the indoctrination in the system was, you could educate your child and she probably wouldn't be exposed to other forms of information. But now on social media, everybody picks up a camera, has an opinion, and it gets to so many young girls, and so many young girls believe it because, yeah, there are 220,000 people who have liked the video of some woman telling her that oh, Nyesika kofa sugar daddy be, and I said, and my friends are saying broke boys don't deserve pussy, don't date university boys. My friends are telling me, oh, don't date your classmates, all of those things. Back to your question, not to stray away from it a lot, I think yes, parents do have a role to play, but that is overestimating the amount of change that they've even been exposed to by themselves. That's giving them grace and assuming that they know better. But also, us saying that we should do better is also assuming that we are also getting a better kind of information, because we genuinely aren't. So also, I would say this, and I will say it over and over again. There is an underestimation of how much exposure younger people have, and I think that creates some sort of undermining of the actual issues. Because yes, I am blessed to have been in the debate society and know that, oh, there's something called feminism and there's something called consent, and it exists in various forms. Somebody in my high school does not know that. A lot of people I sat in class with do not know that you can retract um, your
Consent.
consent. A lot of people also don't know that there are like various forms of predatory behavior that exists across various like generations and stuff like that. So yes, there is a lot of work we need to do as more educated people. Even there are so many things I don't know. There are so many harmful rhetoric I held on to like 2 3 years ago that I just let go of. So we are not better. The generations before us are not better. All we can do is pick up our phones as woke people and educate the younger people and go against people who are spreading harmful rhetoric, go against people who are saying harmful things. It's a continuous work that is not going to stop right now. We have a long way to go, very honestly. And that's what I think.
Okay. Um, so when you say this is fueled by sugar daddy culture and all of that, right? So, there are lots of young girls who genuinely like older men. The idea of the older man can provide, he can give security and things like that. So are you saying that if there's a young person watching us and the person genuinely likes older people, so for example, they're in level 100, but they will prefer to be with somebody who finished national service 2 years ago, is that still something that you think is problematic?
Oh yes, I say this all the time. I genuinely think also I made a video on this a while back. Half the
Not to
people
cut you
who
short, but then this is a very big bullet to our mothers and aunties and grandmas.
that's
A very
what
big
I'm sorry.
one.
I'm so sorry if
Oh
somebody's
no, no,
grandma.
no attacks to you. I'm just saying that because like a lot of our moms, a lot of our aunties, a lot
Yeah.
of our grandmas married people who were at least 7 years, from 5
Oh
to
yeah.
about 10, 20 years older. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm saying that.
Yeah, I think the first question you need to ask yourself if you're somebody who is quote unquote attracted to an older person is why exactly are you attracted to an older person? Let's check the optics. They probably have more money or they are working, so you don't have to, they won't be burdened if you had financial requests. It boils down to the fact that you are less likely to be interested in an older person just by virtue of the fact that they are physically attractive to you. It is optics. Like everything we are sold is optics. Yeah. Sugar daddy, if you want to go and get 5k wig, it won't be bothered. If you get tell your uni boyfriend that you want 5k wig, he'll first get a heart attack. So yes, I don't think anybody who, particularly anybody who is feminist, should buy into the framework of a relationship with an older person. Genuinely, even if their person is not having it at the back of their mind to be manipulative, there would be manipulative tendencies that they are not even actively doing. Like somebody is manipulating you not by virtue of the fact that they want to manipulate you, but they're just older than you. They have more life. Nipa no wenyi, they are like your uncles age mates, your father's age mates, like they are going to manipulate you and you should not buy into those frameworks. And honestly, the whole thing about being attracted to older people, I think honestly, I think there's also a conversation of competition, right? The idea of being attracted to way older men has also trickled down into our age mates, boys who are our age mates, where when you speak to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
friend,
yeah.
you hear them say things like, hey, me, I should get and find girl. I don't have money. Oh, like if you have girlfriend, some older man is chopping hair on the side type thing. So there is like I like what a layer of issues. At the top there's a problem of like attraction to older people, and as an older person, why are you attracted to your younger sister's age mate or your niece's age mate? Is And also for the people who are saying there are exceptions, that's the exception, not the law. Like that, not the norm. You are not special. Like them go take do you. I'm so sorry. But like yeah.
Get with the program, innit?
Yes, like
Okay.
like as if you meet 10 people who are in sugar daddy relationships, 8 out of them might be getting manipulated. I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, your father's
Right,
age
right,
mate
right,
is
right,
genuinely
right.
not attracted to you.
Okay, so if I'm getting anything, you are saying that the fact that younger girls also desire to have certain things that maybe they ordinarily aren't used to or ordinarily don't have is also part of the reasons why they're attracted to these men. I mean, this is kind of given polygamist and a few other touches here and there where people are active manipulators. So I'll go to you, Ifwa, because I have promised people that we are closing at 8:25. So we have to get into it. Or maybe we should do 8:30 because we actually waited for 5 minutes. But Ifwa, do you think that the current laws that we have now are strong enough to be able to protect the community, to be able to protect our young people, and also to be able to deal with defaulters?
Let me tell you something.
Tell
Ghana,
me.
Ghana loves laws. Listen, Ghana loves laws. Ghana has some of the, like the, a really good, one of the best legal systems. We love laws. Look at our politicians are always in the parliament arguing about this bill and the next. I can tell you for a fact that laws are great. And I say this, and you learn this in law school, that the law is a floor, not a ceiling. The law can provide the standards. Look at how many, in fact, excuse me, look at Galamsey. I as a matter, I wrote my dissertation on Galamsey. Like you look at the laws, you do like a proper analysis. You're like, okay, the law is there. There's more that could be done, but the law is there. And at the end of the day, who is following it? When it comes to the laws, so much more. I spent when I started this campaign, I've been spending a lot of time, like reading position papers from UNICEF, and doing analysis on our current the Ghana's legal system comparing to other legal systems because we don't live in a vacuum. And you realize that Our laws are not adequate. We don't have because we don't have proper systems. Because now in Ghana, and it's like we don't know ourselves enough. Cecilia, if you go and report, and like even in your school, if you report that a teacher has harassed you, everybody will hate you. Because number one, they will not investigate properly. A proper investigation should include anonymity. Like, is there going to be an anonymous, unbiased report? Because the child could be lying, or the child could be big, like the abuse could not be become like coming from that particular teacher, or they are seeking for attention for a particular problem. So there should be a system that protects all the parties, and there can be an anonymous, unbiased, neutral investigation. If a child says this teacher has touched me, and you say, "What were you wearing? You're a bad girl. Oh, you're collabone," and these kind of things, you have already ruined the investigation. Then you go and tell this teacher that yes, it's this girl that said that you've touched her. You've ruined the girl's life. Because he'll
Yeah.
tell the other teacher, these kind of things. We don't have, it's not even about the laws. We don't have proper structures. And look at the poverty rates in Ghana. If you give birth, you have a girl child, and there's a carpenter in the area, and he said he wants her, at 10, you donate your child. So Beshano, he'll take care of her.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of these sugar daddy issues is not just like girls want something. They need the thing. And they are backed up by their families. Because this is not time for you to come and say consent. And I was saying this a while ago. Men, when men come and kill their partners because Washen, like he's taking care of her through nursing school, and now she says she doesn't want him again, people act shocked. But the point is that the person didn't consent to this relationship. She just had to keep mute, endure the abuse, get where she needed to go, get what she needed. And then now she's like, actually, no, I don't want to be here anymore. And people say that if you don't want this man's money, why did you take his money? You see this kind of dynamics? If you report something like this in Ghana, people will say, "Hey, Oba, is it your child?" A kind of individualistic society. We used to say that it takes a village to raise a child. But in this village, we have predators.
Right.
So no,
I
you
think
cannot
I
you
get
cannot
you.
trust. You get me? Yeah, we can't trust people. We don't have any proper systems. I think our laws are fine. They're better. Like we need more work, but we don't have proper structures and systems. Sorry.
Right. So I'll just go through some of the comments that have been coming in. Our people are really active. I think Otin needs some questions answered. Drea needs some questions answered for themselves as well. So Drea is saying that. So what about but abundance is not on the call yet. So Drea is asking that. So what if like an 18-year-old is dating a 24-year-old guy? What does that look like? Do you also think that that is like a sugar daddy type of relationship? Otin is saying that not every relationship with a big age gap is necessarily a sugar daddy relationship. Dr. K, we see you commenting a lot. Thank you very much for joining. Dr. K is saying that there are lots of laws, but there's no proper system. Amorfori is saying exactly. People beg to be pushed to these men. Okay, number one, Kubolo fan is saying that, and sometimes you aren't even manipulated by older men, but you are manipulated by your own circumstances. I'll just rush and go up and see if we've got some other comments up there. We see that Bejeweled sends a gift. Yetulauka also sends a gift. Dr. K agrees that this is not something new, it's something that has always existed. And Dr. K also agreed that it's become worse because now everybody is on social
Can you
media.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Oh,
can hear
sorry.
you.
I could. Abundance is saying in the comment that she got cut off, and she's asking to be added.
Okay, so I think she has to turn on her video because they kept sending notifications that if we don't turn on our video, the person has to. So please let her join again, and then I'll just pick one last one. Number one, Kobolo says that broke boys' lives matter. So I don't know, has Abundance joined yet? So
Abundance, please turn on
how
your camera.
how do I add you, my darling? I've told you guys I don't know how to do this.
I think she'll just need to turn on her camera. But as we
Okay.
wait for her, um,
Invite as guest. I'm trying to understand. I'm here.
yeah,
Okay.
invite her.
I don't see how I can you request to join? Can you request?
Yeah, she can request.
So when you
Yeah.
request to join, then maybe I can accept, please. because now I can't see how I can add you.
Mm,
While we are waiting for you to send in the request, I'd like to know if there's anyone in the comments that wants a question to be answered. Please, you can ask. I think she should request to be a guest, and then you can accept
yeah.
from there. Okay, so Abundance, please request to be a guest, and then I can accept you from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we are waiting for her, let's just